Hey guys, so I'm here with
Domenico Vecchie. I'm the owner at Coach's Collectibles and Nucky's Grooming Gallery, Barbershop, Massapequa.
so Dom and I know each other a long time, and we just sat down and did a podcast together. We also just finished a big project at Dom's house, which is also very exciting. It'll be on our Facebook page, which it is already, and you guys should have a listen. All right, so how long we know each other now?
We know each other now. I was probably 19, so about 16 years.
16 years.
16 years, been a
Body
long time.
English.
Body English,
Yep.
the good old
Everyone
days.
knows the Tuesday night. Body
Yep,
English.
Tuesday night body English.
Yep.
They sucked me in there at 19 years old.
Yep.
Started.
So it's important that, I always stress this to the kids, networking and building relationships. So we built our relationship
Oh my
16
God.
years ago.
So many relationships built.
I was a bouncer,
Yep.
you were basically
Manager.
managing the whole place, right?
Yep.
And here we are all these years later, still friends.
Yeah.
And we just did a big
Big
project
construction
for
job.
you. Yep.
Absolutely.
And you just took care of our sports memorabilia
Yep.
for our charity
Yeah.
night, which was, we'll get into that. Like, what are you doing right now? Let's explain how cool your job is.
So, a lot of different facets. The one that we're getting into a lot is Coach's Collectibles. Sports memorabilia brand, public signings, private signings, athlete appearances.
Right.
We have some exclusive clients. We have clients that we work with on a regular. And just being able to bring customers unique items. So I think like what separates me from the rest is that anybody can get a baseball signed by Derek Jeter. You know, it's like picking out the right images, getting them signed in the right spots, the right colors, like bringing new life to stuff that's been done over and over again.
Right.
So like just quick example of that, we've done stuff with guys from the '86 Mets who have been, signing autographs coming up on the 40-year anniversary of that World Series for some of these guys have been signing for 50 years. And we started some
Same
stuff.
pictures.
Same picture over and over again,
Right.
and it's like we brought in some colors to it. So it's like back in the day when autographs it was black Sharpie, blue Sharpie, silver Sharpie. That was it.
That was it.
So now it's like we see the colors of the teams and the Mets are so orange, like we started bringing orange into it. And I remember like handing Keith Hernandez a helmet and having him sign it. And I gave him the orange paint pen. He goes, "What am I supposed to do with this?" I go, "Sign it here," because I've never done that before. And he signed it. He's like, he literally got up and showed it to 4 other guys. Like, look how nice this looks.
There you go.
And now I see like that idea replicated amongst companies all over the country.
Right.
Copying certain colors and stuff. I'm not saying that I'm going to take full credit
Right.
for it, but like,
But you think outside the box.
We think outside the box. So
Right.
we bring another quick example. Andy Chavez, he made a catch in 2006. He signed that picture his entire life. That's all he signs.
Wow.
Same picture of that one catch in 06. I had him sign him in orange, like, I don't know, 6 months ago or a year ago, and he said to me, "I've never signed this in orange. It looks unbelievable." So we have literally people who reach out and buy it, and we could say to me via email, like, "I already have this picture, but I like it better the way you did it. So I'm buying yours, giving the one I have away, or I'm selling it on eBay, and I'm replacing the one I have." So
That's awesome.
just being able to do that and just be unique
That's cool.
is what we really take like a lot of pride in.
Now, how'd you even get into that?
So I was always a collector.
'Cause you're doing what you love, basically.
Yeah. I mean, I always have been a collector. Always had a collection of stuff, and obviously always a big sports guy.
Right.
And so this kind of, it fell in. What I laugh and I tell people is like I had 3 hours extra a week between all the other things I have going on and
Yeah.
moving. It's like, oh, let me do this too,
Right.
And it came to me as an idea, and I turned it into a brand and a business, and
awesome.
it's blown up. I mean, we're in 7,000 square foot warehouse now, so.
How many years now are you doing this?
2019 is probably when I started the
That's
corporation.
awesome. But you were dabbling before,
Yeah, I was
obviously.
always a collector, trader, buyer,
Right.
seller,
Right.
always. But I just never really did it saying, okay, I'm going to turn it into something I'm going to make money with.
But now, how old are you now?
I'm 35.
35. So then you were, 31?
Yeah, about
Around.
30, 31.
Okay. So let's take it back to, we'll go back in
Yeah.
history a little bit to high school, because I think it's important, once again, that we stress that what you do when you're in your teens or your early 20s may or may not be the same thing you do in your 30s.
Yep.
So when you were in high school, what was your mindset? What was your goal?
I think when I was in high school, I'm a full-blown, off the boat Italian. You know what I
Right.
mean? So I've been working since I'm probably 12.
Right.
As soon as I was able to find somewhere that gave me a job, I had a job.
Right.
So I was
doing what? Like
I was in a
restaurant?
deli. I was in a
Okay.
deli at 12 years old.
Okay.
And I remember the way I got that job was actually pretty funny. I went in. I was getting food at the Chinese food place, like next door to it, and they didn't have a drink I want, so I walked into the deli. And I'm walking through the deli, and one of the customers in there spoke Italian. She was trying to explain to the guy working behind the counter what she wanted. He didn't understand her, and I translated it for her.
Right.
The guy who owned the place walks around the corner and goes, "You speak Italian?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Okay, you want a job?" "Sure." you know? He's like, all right, come in on Monday.
Right.
So I started working after school, like 3 to 6, 5 days a week. And then I was working Saturday and Sunday. So I was working like every day already.
That's awesome.
So, you know, so I had that job for a while. And then in high school, I was like, oh, I think I want to be a teacher. You know, I think I want to go to school to be a teacher. I kind of liked phys ed, sports, things like that.
Is that what most of your friends were doing?
Yeah, a lot of us were, I wouldn't say all of us were going teaching-wise, but I just felt like that was something I liked. So when I turned about 18, I stopped at the deli, and my godfather was an executive for the Scotto Brothers. So I got into the catering business. And I started there, I was 18. I think he told me he couldn't be there until I was 18. There was some sort of like legal things, I guess, because we were serving alcohol.
Yes.
So I started when I was 18. By the time I was 20, I was in management already. So I flew through the ranks of that, like truly enjoyed it. Really, really had a good time with it. And then I was already like in school to be a phys ed teacher.
Right.
And I'm looking at this and I'm like, I hate it. I was always good at school. Like school didn't bother me. It wasn't something I was bad at. I didn't study. I was just naturally, I got it.
Right.
You know, I was taking college classes in 11th grade. Like I was good with it. I was fine.
Right.
But I just was bored. You know, I'm like, I don't want to do this. And I'm enjoying what I'm doing.
Right.
You know, and I finished college just because no one in my family had yet. So I felt like it was the cool thing to do for my parents.
Right.
You know, to just finish it. But if I could go back, I would have just probably left in sophomore year. Like as soon as I had realized like I wanted to do what I was doing or I was enjoying it and making money, I would have been, if I could go back, I'd save the X amount of money.
The restaurant industry worked with your schedule, right? Because you're mostly busy on the weekends.
Yeah, it was a weekend schedule, and you know there was a lot of sacrifices to it. It was 19, 20 years old. My friends are all out. You know, 21, we all got our IDs, and we were able to go out and start going out. And I was working weekends instead. So Friday, Saturday night, I'm running somebody's wedding. My friends are all at a bar. Having fun.
We were all in that too. So promote.
Yeah, but you know what? I always felt like my thought process was I'm making double.
Yeah.
I'm making money and I'm not spending it.
You took the words out of, I say that all the time.
That's what I felt like for me. It was like, okay, I had my school loans paid off when I was 23.
That's it.
There's kids I went to high school, college with, they're still paying off their loans now in their 30s, you know? So I always felt like I was kind of ahead with that by just making sacrifices of like, all right, do I have to go out every Friday night, go drinking, you know? No, we don't have to do that. So
yeah, but you worked in a place where,
but
and
that's
I
what I was
worked in a
saying.
place where our friends came to visit us anyway.
That's what I'm saying. And like, you know, it's Friday nights, you're at weddings, people are dressed up, like everyone's happy. You always felt like I was at a party anyway. Yeah. You know, so it was easy for me to like let go of a lot of the other stuff. And I always ended up being a DD for my friends, like, cause I'd be coming home at 2 a.m. from work, I'd pick them up and drive them home.
It's always fun.
So yeah, it was whatever. Yeah. Definitely don't recommend having to do that for your friends. That's miserable.
Oh, it's some good stories, though, I'm sure. Yeah, you remember everything. They don't.
Yeah, they don't. Yeah.
Now, because you're so personable, which people are probably gathering already that already know you, obviously. Yeah. How many connections would you say you made doing that, going that route, like from the deli to the Scotto Brothers?
Immeasurable. I mean, everybody we dealt with in that industry, from Body English, was just this one night a week, right, where you'd meet people who. You know, my daughter's godfather my second daughter's godfather is Adam. You know, I met him through Body English. I mean, he's my daughter's godfather. Roy too. Like he's my first daughter's godfather. We met originally there. Wow. You know, so the relationships are forever. And just the amount of people I met where it was like, okay, you have to take care of this whatever client. Oh, you do this work, you do that work. Right. It was always like, I had a guy now. That was the thing. It's like I got a guy for that. I know somebody who does that.
This person likes this a certain way.
Yeah. And the other thing I felt like I made with those is like all the guys that work security. Like you didn't just work at Body English on Tuesday. You worked somewhere else and somewhere else. So anywhere I went, when I did have the time to go out, I never waited on lines. I never paid covers. I just walk through the door.
Well, we all had that kind of relationship.
Yes, because we all took care of each other, you know? Like, I remember I was the one guy who would go to security guys in the front at, 11 o'clock. Hey, we're closing the kitchen. You guys want food? And just bring...
That was so key, Frank. Like,
bring a tray of food and Red Bulls, like, all night, and nobody else did that. So the security guys were always like, nobody ever looks out for us, you know? And this guy is. But in the back of my head, I always knew, like, that favor or that kindness would always come back the other way, you know. So I'd be going to Sugar when it was open, and the line is down the block, and I'd walk up, and you'd be at the front door, Eves would be at the front door. I'd be like, "What's up?" and just
that's it.
Walk right in like nobody. Yeah, exactly. Like nobody's business.
Those $45 velvet rope. You know, so scary.
They were invisible to me. I never. They were invisible. You know, I just walked right in. So just those type. And now look, like 16 years later, you're doing the construction on my house. You know, like that relationship that we built from that turned into a huge mega project in my home.
We stress all the time that you make a relationship, 15 years, 20 years earlier, it may not come back. You know,
Yeah.
you may not do anything with that person for
Of
all
course.
ages, or you may never.
Yeah.
But it's just you still have that solid relationship where
Absolutely.
I'm sure even if you weren't doing a dormer in your house and you thought of someone who needed work or needed a
be
boiler,
referring them. Yeah.
you'd be referred. So
100%.
it all goes hand in hand. So that's
I couldn't agree more. It's just those, you just never know. I feel like you always treat everybody the right way because you just never know when your paths will cross the ground and you need each other.
Absolutely.
I may need you, you may need me. So to just never have bad blood with anybody is just, is the way to go. And
Likable.
Yes.
Everyone likes you.
Yeah, I try. I don't know why.
No, likability factor. Absolutely.
Best man 3 times. I'm still trying to figure out why.
Now, I don't know if we could say this, but that was also like a high, well, it wasn't. There was some high clientele people that came in through there and spent a lot of money. How much money do you think was spent on the night on those Tuesday nights?
I know how much money was spent on those Tuesday nights.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I'm supposed to close, but they are closed now, so I guess it doesn't really matter. There was a lot of money going through those doors. I mean, I remember the craziest night was the night when 4th of July landed on Wednesday.
Okay.
So the night before Tuesday was July 3rd. So literally everybody was off the next day.
Pretty sure I worked that night.
You did?
Yeah.
It was absolutely insane.
That's awesome.
It was, and it was just a different time though. There was not, there was so much, it was like, there was something to do every night back then.
Yeah.
You know, like Monday night you went to 4, Tuesday night you went to Body English, Wednesday night you went to Mia Posto, Thursday you went to Sugar.
Yeah.
Friday you went out to Patchogue and whatever place over there.
Emporium.
Emporium, yep.
Door there.
Yep, Saturday you went back to Sugar.
Yeah.
And Sunday was, whatever it was, the Nautical Mile or Freeport or whatever, So there was always, but it was just, that's what I'm saying.
Which
and
is
that's
cool.
But that's part of it too, is like you never realize the people that you're taking care of on Tuesday, then you're out on a Thursday and they have a table again and they're like, hey, come hang out.
Right.
So it's like
You're gonna see them.
you're always treat everybody right because you're always gonna see them again, especially in certain industries. Like they just
Yeah, you don't want to see them hang your head.
Yeah, exactly. You don't want to be hiding in the corner because you don't want to see anybody,
Right, right.
So it's always important to kind of treat everybody the right way. My cardinal rule has always been treat everyone the way you want your mother to be treated. Not the way you want to be treated, the way you'd want your mother to be treated.
Yeah.
So, it's just, like I said, you just see these people over and over again, especially in that.
Right.
You always, and in the wedding industry it was cool too because we didn't see them regularly, but I can't even tell you how many brides and grooms I've done a wedding for, and it turns out like the guy was a tree remover, or the guy did this, or the guy did that,
Right.
or and I'd be like, oh, you know what? I
know
remember
a guy.
so and so. Like, let me go back in the file, find his phone number, and give him a call. Like, I got a tree, like just stuff like that.
Yeah.
You start to just learn people, and they appreciate what you did for them on their special day. They come back and take care of you. It might not be financially.
Yeah.
Like you're not looking for a deal, but you're looking for someone to do it the right way,
Absolutely.
not cut corners on you. I'd rather pay for it done the
treat
right
your
way.
house like it's their own.
Exactly.
Right.
That's like a really important
Now,
part.
did you meet any like, I guess, celebrity type people that you get autograph signings for now, then?
No.
In the nightclub
no,
ever?
No, never did.
So none of that tied into that?
No, none of that did. I mean, we saw some guys, but nothing ever tied back into like what I do now.
Right.
Like we had like Marshall Falk one night there.
Right.
If you had started during Posh,
Yeah.
then you could have.
Yeah. Because now talking to guys like
too
Reyes
young.
and Wright, they're like, we remember those nights going there.
That's crazy.
Going there, but yeah.
So then how'd you
Pivot.
yeah, to doing what you're doing now and
So-
leaving that end of it?
Yeah, so it started with coaches. What happened when we started, it was pre-COVID, right? There was a lot of shows going on, autograph shows.
Right.
And one of the things that I saw a lapse in was what we call like mail order service. Like you have something you want to get signed, you mail it in to get done. We get it done. You never even meet the athlete as the customer, right? It's either a private event or a show in another part of the country you can't
So
get
just
to.
to explain to anybody who's watching, so someone could send you whatever
Whatever they
memorabilia
want.
they have already that's not signed. They'll
Yes.
send it to you. You'll get it autographed by that particular
Autographed,
person,
authenticated,
and then
ship it
sent
back.
That's
Yeah.
a great service.
So, and it applies a lot because people don't live in New York.
Right.
Some people lived in New York and now they live in Florida, but somebody's doing a signing in New York, they can't get up here, so they just want to get their thing signed. There's also a lot of guys that have like sets and they're trying to collect every card in a set, so they just send stuff all over the place.
Right.
But so I saw a problem in that service, in that I would see online constant people like complaining about, oh, the way they mailed it back, my thing got damaged. It got signed in the wrong color. It got signed in the wrong spot. That's not what I asked for. So I was like,
People didn't take the care.
Yeah, and I had such a background already in like customer service and
Right.
like meticulous doing things. You
Right.
run somebody's wedding, everything's got to be perfect.
Right.
So I had such a background in that already that I felt like my niche was like, okay, I could do this better than these guys are doing it,
Right.
and we did.
Right.
And right away I started that, and that's how things kind of started. It was like, all right, we went and did a show that was at, local shows that were around hosting athletes, and commit to a certain amount of money to be there and handle whatever athletes they were bringing in. So we necessarily didn't have access to anybody we wanted. It was just, this show happens to have Joe Montana, Jim Kelly,
Right.
whoever. So, okay, we'll take orders for all of these guys. The next show has Barry Sanders, Bo Jackson, whoever, Bernie Williams, we'll do these guys.
Now, how'd you know to get into those shows, though? Like,
I was used to go to them as a patron.
Oh, okay.
So I knew that the shows existed because I would go to them as a customer and
great.
wait online like everybody getting an autograph, you
Right.
know? So I was already going to them, so I knew that they were there. It wasn't something that was like, I went to look for.
Right.
So, we started that way, and then COVID hit. And when COVID hit, everything shut down as far as public events.
Right.
There was no more shows, no more this, and it was like, okay, what are we doing now? Because that was our kind of niche for a little while. Like, where are we gonna pick up? We can't, because we don't know when this is gonna stop. We don't know when it's gonna come back.
And it wasn't like you can go back to the restaurant industry because that took a huge hit.
Oh, huge hit.
So, that's a scary time.
Huge hit, yeah. So, in one of our restaurants, like the easiest thing, we had a quick ability to transition to delivery. And that's what really like saved us there. It's like
Right.
it was so funny, like we were talking about it. We were making more money during delivery than we were in regular time because you cut all the labor out.
Right.
You cut all the staff out. You had a couple of people working and the
That
guys
was
in the
it.
kitchen, which you could cut in half. And it was crazy. Like it was
A lot of the car dealers say the same thing.
Yeah.
A couple of guys I talked to.
Yeah. So when COVID hit, I decided, really, I should say, is like, all right, why don't I try to start making some contact with some athletes that are local and offer private signings where you can get your stuff signed. So one of the first couple we did was right before Father's Day.
But now, sorry to cut you
Yeah.
off. What was the route you took to get to that? Because you can't
I'll
just
tell
like
you,
say,
yeah.
I'm going to call.
Yeah, you can't pick up the
so-and-so.
phone and go, I'm going to call Darryl Strawberry.
Yeah.
Well, now I can, but
Yeah.
but then, so I actually reached out to a couple of guys via Instagram
Right.
that I knew were like kind of local and were active on Instagram. So I reached out, and there's other guys like they'll post on their Instagram in their bios and say, all right, I'm sponsored by whatever company, like this is my management company. Reach out to them for inquiries and stuff like that. So I did that as well, and I put out a lot of feelers. And the two first guys we did a private signing with, I held it in my barbershop because the barbershop was closed for COVID, so we couldn't be open. So I held the two guys. It was Edgardo Alfonso, who used to play for the Mets in the late 90s, early 2000s, and then Adam Fox, who at the time was a rookie for the Rangers, a defensive player. So I had both of them in my barbershop. Both of them we took orders for, we promoted, and we took pre-orders for. It was right before Father's Day, so we got a ton of orders where people were like, oh, it's a perfect Father's Day gift, perfect Father's Day gift.
Right.
So, and we
How'd
did
you promote it?
social media. It's all social media. All
No
social
Google
media.
ads and nothing
nothing,
like that?
nothing. All social media. Because at the time, I didn't have a website going yet.
Right.
We didn't really have like a ton of, we didn't really have inventory yet.
Right.
When we were doing shows, it was like, okay, we never really walked away with anything because you were sending me your thing to get signed. I was sending it right back to you. So
Right.
I didn't really carry anything after.
Right.
Now we're at the point where it's like we do that plus we gather and carry a lot of inventory.
Right.
There's a lot of signings that we do that people don't even know happened. We just do it for inventory purposes.
That's awesome.
So yeah, so that
So you ran
built
paid
it.
ads.
Yeah, paid ads on social media,
Yeah.
word of mouth, promoting it on my own personal page in the beginning while I was building the business page,
Right.
and just letting people know that these things were happening, and the fact that they could mail stuff in, and if they didn't have something to mail in, we could provide the raw product too.
Right.
I don't have a baseball to mail you. Okay, I have it. So you
Right.
pay for the baseball, the postage, and everything, and we'll ship it to you when it's done.
That's awesome.
So, you have a witness authenticator there. There's somebody on site from one of these major companies that authenticate, and ball gets signed, guy stickers it. Ball gets signed, guy stickers it. So
Awesome.
it's getting done right at the time, so no one's really worried about, that type of anything fraud or
Right.
fake or anything like that, which is important.
Right.
And and it just kind of continued to grow from there, and the shows came back eventually, when everything kind of calmed down. And then I found myself doing both at the same time, like my own private stuff and these public shows to
Right.
take mail order.
Right.
And then it turned in from that to now we're doing our own public events too, so we're just hosting the guys totally ourselves. And
So you built up a huge network now.
huge
of-
network of customer base,
Yeah.
yeah.
Of
to
being
come to us.
likable, because if they didn't like you, they wouldn't give you the
Yeah,
something else.
absolutely. That
Yeah.
comes, and just service. I mean, just doing the right thing.
Right.
People get their stuff.
Well, on the
And getting it back to
patron
them.
side and on the
100%.
signee side, right? The
Yeah,
people
the
signing
athletes
stuff.
too.
Yeah.
The athletes too. Like there's a lot of guys that just don't sign because they just don't. They've been in like awkward signings.
Yeah.
Like they're the guys are either weird about it that they're working with. They're just not personable people. Yeah.
Right.
So they're like,
Well, once again, they're not just athletes that you're getting done, right? You were telling me
Yeah,
about
celebrity
Chaz
stuff.
Palminteri.
Yeah,
I can never say
Chaz
his name.
Palminteri
There
in
you
a couple weeks. We've done stuff with like Chris Evans from Marvel and
Oh, really?
yeah. So
That's cool.
all over.
That's got to be huge, Marvel.
Yeah, the Marvel stuff's huge. I mean, but it just kind of, I found myself, when I realized I wanted to get into the Hollywood and other stuff was because we were doing, like we were going to talk about, is our charity events and silent auctions at them, and just kind of feeling like we're only like out for the men per se, like the sports fans.
Pigeonholing yourself almost.
Yeah, we were like putting ourselves in this little, pigeonhole of like, all right, if you don't like sports, like you're not going to come over to us.
Right.
But now that we've done, like we're bringing some Hollywood stuff in there, one of the more popular things is like stuff signed by Robert O'Neill, who's the Navy SEAL that killed Bin Laden.
Yeah.
So we
Well,
bring
that
stuff
was
like
huge at our event.
Yeah, both pieces
Yeah.
were huge pieces, you know. And
Well, they went for big money.
yeah. Each one was like $1,200.
Yeah.
with like low starting bids, so
Yeah.
the charity killed it on those.
I remember
which was
seeing the
great.
paper, and it was like this long.
Yeah, that one was filled to the
Huge.
bottom, you know. So, but that's the kind of stuff where if you don't like sports, you're still an American. You're still
Absolutely.
a patriot. You know, a patriot.
This
You're
is
gonna
awesome to
love.
hang on the wall.
That's what I'm saying,
Yeah.
and it's the type of thing where people would come in, and I think
Conversation
one of the
piece.
guys, one of the guys who bought it, I think he said his son was either like in the Navy or was a.
No, that was Steve, my friend Steve. His son's going in.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it was something where like there's a personal relationship to why. But I always tell people too, it's like, all right, cool, you got this man cave, like this room per se. If you had this
Yeah, we got to
random,
dress this room up some more.
yeah, we will, we'll hook you up. If we had this like random like helmet, like military looking helmet over there, going, what the heck is that? And then
Yeah.
you explain what it is.
Right.
It's just like people like, and they love it. It's
Talkative
like you
piece.
just, it's a total talkative piece.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So we found ourselves doing a lot of that, and like, okay, I got to find other stuff now besides sports to kind of make sure we really like encompass everybody and take care of everybody at these events.
And to boot, you get to meet, a whole nother group of people.
Yeah, a whole
and
nother
build
group.
your web,
Yep, absolutely, and that's all it is. It's just building connections,
holding on to them.
holding on to the connections. You
Yep.
know, even if it's a text once in a while, how are you doing? Like I have athletes I haven't worked with in 2 years, but I'll still shoot them a text on Christmas or Father's Day or whatever, just to
Absolutely.
kind of keep the lines of communication
Yeah.
open.
Is there any particular reason why you're not? Is it just the demand's less?
Yeah,
for
the
this,
demand's not there.
autographs?
Yeah, sometimes the demand's not there, or
They're having an off season.
yeah,
Yeah.
you just there's just not some guys, some of the retired guys, like they again, like we say, you've signed for so many years. There's only so much stuff that you can do.
Right, exactly.
Before it's like market's kind of finished with whatever is needed on these guys. But
The quarterback for the Giants now.
which one? Tommy Cutlets.
Tommy
DeVito.
Cutlets.
Yeah.
He would relate to you so well.
Yeah,
Is he Italian,
living-
right?
Actually, right now,
Have you
really
reached out
much.
to him? Yeah.
No, actually, because right now we're living at home while we were doing your work.
Right.
I'm back getting the chicken cutlets every night, just like him.
Oh,
Yeah, it
that's
would
awesome.
actually be a perfect. So I have.
We have chicken cutlet at my house at least 3 times a week.
Oh, yeah, it's the same thing.
Chicken and veal. I mean, I
Yeah.
don't know if veal's okay, but
Yeah.
I like the veal.
Yeah, it's very
Parmesan cheese. You don't even need sauce.
all good. You don't need
Yeah.
anything. No, yeah. So I have reached out to him. It's just very tough in season to get guys to do stuff.
Yeah.
And as a good kid that he should be doing, he's really been taking care of like the people in his neighborhood that have asked.
Okay.
Like he did something a couple weeks ago at like this sandwich spot in like Wayne, New Jersey, like
Right.
right by where he lives.
Right.
I don't know what they paid him, but he was signing sandwich wrappers and anything people brought in. You know what I mean? But he took care of like that's the deli I go to. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like if I can help
People
this,
he's known for a long time.
exactly.
Yeah.
Like versus some guy he's never met who just wants to give him a few bucks. You
Yeah,
know,
that's
so I respect that about him, and hopefully hopefully he continues to play.
Yeah.
But you get these like we call them like kind of like a flash in the pan type of thing.
Right.
Like right now
Hot.
he's hot.
Yeah.
But you don't know as a business person. I have to look at that and go, all right, how quickly can I turn whatever I have versus getting stuck with something.
Right.
Down the line.
I always think about that. Like even like we're not celebrities or
Yeah.
professional ball players, but like people always ask, "Oh, how's business doing? How's it going?"
Mm-hmm.
Like when things are good, like if you're in business long enough, like they're good, but that good's only going to last so long because it's a constant wave.
Yeah.
So like I feel that with sports players too. I mean, they're more in the limelight, obviously.
Oh yeah.
And everyone critiquing the shit out of them. But,
100%.
But like it's just like anything else. Like you can't stay hot forever. You can't stay busy forever. It's just
Couldn't agree more.
You
And
ride the wave.
when I look at stuff to like making it, because these are all investments in reality. I mean, if I'm saying to an athlete, I'm going to do 500,000 pieces with you.
right,
I'm not selling all of that ahead of time. So I'm investing in this product for a future.
right,
So you have to look at stuff and say, all right, he's a current player, big market, great, but he's only got 2 years left on his deal. Is this team going to re-sign him? Is he going to end up playing somewhere else? Because Pete Alonso, a great example for the Mets right now, we couldn't keep him in stock.
right.
Now, he's like teetered off on selling because I think a lot of the collectors are like, is he going to be a Met next year?
Right.
So like, do I want something of a player who's not on the team anymore? Like that happened with Jake DeGrom, you know?
Right.
He ended up going to Texas and his market went straight down in the tubes.
Oh, really?
So, you know, generic stuff is fine, but if you have a picture of him in a Met uniform, he's not a Met anymore.
Right. That's the whole picture.
Yeah, so it's like, and nowadays, unfortunately, with the younger
Now, do you think that
generation,
would eventually be more valuable later on, though?
I think that stuff does. I mean, no matter what,
You
I
have to
think
hold on to it.
yeah, I think that people need to, like, eventually fans will get over the fact, but you always are going to remember the guy was Rookie of the Year, which has only been 5 in Met history. Okay, he's a 2-time Cy Young winner, and guys like Tom Seaver did that. He went and played for whoever he played for after. I think it was Cincinnati. Right. After he left the Mets, but nobody buys Cincinnati Reds stuff of him. They only buy, you know, Met stuff. However, Jake just won a World Series, but he didn't really play that much. But you know, so it's like this. He's going to be one of those awkward.
Right.
It's Brady. Brady's a perfect example. Like he played for the Bucks and won a Super Bowl, but his Patriot stuff sells 1,000 times faster and better. Aaron Rodgers, like always going to be a guy who sells on the Packers, even though he's playing for the Jets. You know, so there's certain guys that are like kind of knock that like kind of. Weird thing about it, but in general, you have to look at stuff and go, all right, is this a good like?
So you got to watch what you're buying. Really.
Of course.
So like, if you wanted to do where's your busy months? You said probably June to September.
June to September is my busier months with like the charity stuff, but as far as autographs, like it's all year round.
It's all,
it doesn't stop.
It's a constant. It's pretty
constant.
level.
It's constant because when baseball season's out, basketball, hockey, and whatever season
roll right in.
You're rolling into everything.
That's awesome.
And kind of like when your September's coming. It's like kind of the time to attack the teams because the season hasn't happened yet. The Jets haven't fallen apart yet. You know, the Giants haven't fallen apart yet. So let's get the fan base while they're excited about the new season versus Week 14 when we're both got 3 wins.
So you really ride the top of the wave because like you're getting people who are hot at that moment, and you're just being strategic about it.
Yeah, and moments too. You know, certain moments may happen in a game or an event. Like a great one was before I was in business, but Odell Beckham made that catch on Monday Night Football. I mean, that's all he signs now, you know? So, like, that game was Sunday night. So, that's a crazy story. So, that game was a Sunday night game against Dallas. He makes that catch, and he had a signing already scheduled for Monday at the Steiner store. That's no longer exists, but in Roosevelt Field Mall.
Wow.
So, I remember watching that game. I was sitting at the bar watching the game in our bar in Bayside with my buddy Roy, and we saw that, and I was like, if I could find that picture, like, I'm going to go. Like, I wasn't going to go.
Right.
But I was like, if I can find that picture, I'm going.
Yeah.
And
as the price goes from here to
here. Yeah. Google Images, like as soon as right on Google, you can find it right away. Find a size that's printable, and I ended up going just because of that happening. So certain stuff like that, those kind of moments are always going to be, big. Are always going to sell, are always going to be big. So I mean, he's still to this day. It's like like I said to Andy Chavez before. All he signs is that catch.
That's awesome.
It doesn't. Nobody wants anything else. So you have those moments.
So this is a good business. I mean, I knew about it already, but you pretty much, I don't want to say recession-proof because you can kind of bob and weave with what's hot.
Yeah, I would never say recession-proof because I think
obviously
of what
it's extra money.
What we do here is definitely like a luxury.
Right.
It's definitely a luxury to pay $200 for somebody's autograph.
Right.
Versus like really needing it.
Right.
My other business, the barbershop, that's recession-proof, and that's why I have that.
See, I feel. Oh, so you have a barbershop?
Yeah.
See, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Barbershop Massapequa. Barbershop Massapequa is 9 years old now.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So Barbershop Massapequa, we started with my partner Adam, and it came about originally just in like he was in commercial real estate, and the guy he worked for had this building with 3 storefronts, and they were trying to fill the stores and then eventually sell the building. And one of the storefronts, like, he had somebody come in, Adam had somebody come in and was like, what do you do? And he's like, oh, I own a barbershop. He's like, oh, where's your barbershop? He's like, oh, it's in Connecticut. So how the hell are you going to have a Connecticut barbershop and one in Massapequa? Yeah. And he was like, oh, I fill it up and I rent the chairs. No, I don't even come in here. So that got Adam's mind thinking because he's very similar to me. He's like, why don't we just do it? Like, we could do that.
Right.
Little do we know that's not that, it's not that easy. You don't just go, when you have a shop, you don't just get like, 6 barbers waiting outside your door like when it says grand opening.
Right.
So luckily we were able to find a partner who he's been a barber for like 30 years. His father's a barber, brother's a barber, whole family, right? But he was working at his father's shop. The father was retiring. He was in West Babylon. And he couldn't take over that business because he didn't have the financials to do it. And the shop was so run down. He's like, my father hasn't done anything in the shop in 20 years, so it's beat to shit. Right. So we were like, hey, come in here and, we'll figure out a way to kind of make everybody whole together and we'll do it that way.
You met Adam. Adam, you know him a long time.
Yeah.
Right? So,
Yep.
so you already had your friend. He's doing
Yeah.
something else. You guys tie it together. You meet this person, and it's been going great for 9 years.
Yeah, I mean,
Wow.
it was definitely takes time to start, like anything else does.
Yeah.
You know, you need financials, you need to be able to float the business when,
Right.
you know, it's growing.
Right.
I think one of the things that we didn't think of was how do you get people. Men are more loyal to their barbers than their wives.
Right.
It's crazy. You know, like they won't leave their barber.
Yeah.
You know, so you know, getting people to come in the doors and what we always call like the mousetrap.
Right.
How do we build the better mousetrap? So our mousetrap was we put a billiards table in there. So while you're waiting, you got something to do. We put tap beer in there, which is free.
Right.
You know, we don't have a liquor license. We don't sell it. We
Right.
just if you're waiting and you want to have a beer, it's there.
That's
so you
awesome.
got, 2
Yeah.
beers on tap all
Yeah.
the time. And you
Is
know,
there a limit? Like people abuse it?
no, nobody does.
I was gonna say.
Yeah, like the guys walking out hammered. No, nobody does. Everyone, it's usually like a Friday afternoon thing. Like come in after work at 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock for a haircut.
Yeah.
There's 3 people in front of me. I'm getting a beer and I'm going.
Nice.
Things have changed because of COVID. We're all appointments now. We've
Right.
changed all the rules for all these places, you know. So,
Right.
so it's not as busy a waiting room
Right.
anymore, and the guys are more on like a set schedule.
Right.
Where it's like, okay, I look at my calendar, I have appointments all day,
Know what
or
you're doing.
I have nobody until this time. We still take walk-ins, of course, but yeah, the point is it takes time to grow something, and you have to, you know, you just keep
Now,
it going.
how do you work that? You get like a percentage of what comes in, or you get just basically rent the chairs out?
It's different. So
What's better?
everyone's on kind of a different situation. We have some guys that rent and they bring in their own patrons, so they don't really cut our customers.
Right.
They have their own clientele. They just need a place to work.
Right.
And then we have guys that are on a commission split, you know,
Okay.
with the shop. So every haircut they do, there's a split based on the.
Now,
on
how
the
do you keep
total.
that honest with cash?
It's not really a lot of cash anymore.
Oh, it's not. It's all credit.
Yeah, it's like it used to be all cash.
Wow.
I mean, we have cameras everywhere.
Right.
And this is the same thing we got back to from the beginning, man. You just treat people right, they're gonna do the right thing by you.
Right, exactly.
No one's gonna steal from me, knowing that, you know, we take them out three times a year for like nice dinners to just
Right.
get the crew together. When we go out in the summer to Freeport or something, like, hey guys, come.
Right.
You know, and treat. You know what I mean? So it's just like always doing the right thing by
Right.
people. They're not gonna steal from you.
That's huge.
You know? So it's
But
there's
having
obviously
that
gotta be-
barbershop must help with the memorabilia company too.
Yeah, I have stuff on the
'Cause
walls.
people always say, oh,
Literally. I have a guy sitting in there getting a haircut for an hour, and he's looking at this piece, and you know what? It might not be something he buys right that moment, but in the back of his head, he's going to remember it and go, oh, you know what? Christmas is coming, or oh, it's Father's Day next week.
Right.
Like, let me go see what's at Nucky's.
That's
You know,
awesome.
and I'm constantly moving the stuff and changing the stuff around.
And what's the name of it? You just-
Nucky's Grooming Gallery.
Nucky's Grooming Gallery.
Nucky Thompson. It's an old school, like Boardwalk Empire style thing that we built.
Cool.
Very retro looking, hot towel shaves, old chairs, like cool like that.
That's awesome.
Something you'd like. It's very vintage.
Yeah,
looking.
that's cool. I have to check it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, with the sports memorabilia company,
Mm-hmm.
do you have employees helping with you? You have any partners in that, or is it
No,
just
no
basically-
partners. I do have staff.
Okay.
Most all part-time guys, and then I have like a staff that I'll call in when we do like public events and we need just extra hands.
Right.
It's you know, when I need the bodies, I have it. But
Is it easier hiring for that sort of thing because it's a cool?
yeah, it's definitely
experience?
easier. You know, it's definitely easier. I always laugh. It's one of the few industries in the world where you could probably get free labor if you wanted it,
Yeah.
because everyone's like, oh, I get to meet so and so and take a picture with them. Like, I don't even want any money.
It was funny
know?
because last night I was watching. Was it One for the Money?
Yeah, two for the
Pacino-
money.
Two for the money.
yeah.
With Pacino and
Not Bradley Cooper.
Matt
Matt McConaughey. Yeah, Matthew McConaughey. Yep.
So like that's like a cool business.
Yeah, yeah,
that's a little different than what
That's a
you
little-
do.
that's a little- yeah, a little
It'll get a
different,
little
but-
ugly, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's sports related. People love it, you know, and people are addicted to that stuff.
Yeah, yeah,
It's amazing.
yeah. I definitely think there's partial addiction in some of the sports memorabilia. You know, people like new player comes on, I have to have it,
Yeah.
or something happens, they have to have it.
Yeah.
You know, so
See, I have like the complete opposite of that. Like now with the construction so much, because people like construction, they like new bathrooms, obviously. But on the boiler end, like I'll see people not buy a boiler or mush the boiler to the side to do something else, or you know, I'll go to a house and they'll have like a brand new Mercedes in the driveway.
But they have
and
no
it's
heat.
like, yeah, it just people don't want it, and I get
Yeah.
it. But like everyone wants sports memorabilia. I mean, that's
Yeah.
not everybody, but
not
a
everybody,
majority.
but majority
Yeah,
of
and if
people
it's
do.
not sports related, it's you know something.
You know what
else.
I'll say too? I've always said, like, everyone's like, why did the business spike during COVID? And I don't know this factual, but this is the way I interpreted it was. If you're a season ticket holder for the Yankees, the Mets, the Knicks, the Rangers, whatever it is, right?
can't
You
go.
allocate $50,000 for your season tickets. You can't go. There's no more games to go to.
Yeah.
So you're not paying for that stuff,
Right.
right? So they're saying, all right, we're holding your deposit, was
Right.
the way they're doing it. Like, we're holding your $10,000 deposit for next year and we'll apply it to next year's tickets. So now you have $40,000 that you were gonna spend on Ranger tickets or Nick tickets.
Right.
You can't go on vacation because they're not letting anybody go anywhere. You can't do anything. So you're like, okay, I'm going to take this 40 grand. Maybe I'm not going to spend all of it,
Right.
but I'm going to spend 10,000 of it on cards, on autographs, on stuff I was going to buy, but I just never found the extra income to do. And now all of a sudden they have it. So I feel like that spiked.
So now you started the business in 19.
Yep.
20 is COVID.
Yep.
That must have been a huge change financially for you.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
how do you, like you were responsible and you handled it well, but most people wouldn't handle that well.
Yeah.
Like having that influx, you know what I mean? I'm not saying
Yeah.
it was coming through the doors, but like
No,
you
no.
obviously took you to a whole nother
Yeah,
bracket.
I definitely think it spiked like everything we were doing, where we started seeing people that didn't really like you wouldn't see before. All of a sudden, like, oh, I need one or two, or the card market exploded. People who had card shops and trading cards exploded during COVID.
Yeah.
And both buying, selling, cards that. Like I have friends that own shops. Like they were like, "Hey, this box we'd get $150 for. Now we're getting $1,100."
Holy
Like
shit.
it just didn't even make sense. Because you know what? It's all
It's like
variable.
real estate.
It's all it's all variable to the market.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if people call me all the time, "What do you think this is worth?" And I have the same answer every single time. It's worth what somebody's willing to pay for it. That's it. Just because
You could
paid-
ask for whatever you want.
Yeah, exactly. That's what eBay's for. Go put it up for $1 million. Like, doesn't mean anyone's going to pay for it.
No,
You know.
or bid,
So
no.
I always say, like, you're not necessarily going to get what you paid for something 10 years ago now, but I mean, you get the same amount you paid for a car 10 years ago. You know, you don't.
No.
So it's really what somebody's willing to pay for it. So just I would say, like, don't buy everything. Sometimes less is more. Get the right stuff.
Right.
And I think that's kind of where we niched ourselves in, where it's like, okay, we do a limited edition run of something. There's only 5 or 10 of these, or the way we did it, like you're not getting it. We have artwork that we use we create custom canvases. We've used them at your events.
Right.
And people will see that and they go to look on, because everyone does the same thing at events. They go on eBay or whatever, and they try to find how much is this, you know what I mean? And they all know that it's more expensive at certain events because you're kicking to charity also.
Right.
And people are much more generous.
Right.
But only to a certain point, to a certain extent. But
Like that one guy that bought that piece and said, "Oh, I got it cheaper."
yeah, I
One
found
guy
it
out
cheaper.
of the
Yeah.
whole, which
I know.
is fine. Yeah.
Yeah, no, he ended up buying it though.
Did he?
Yeah, he paid
Oh,
for it.
really?
Yeah,
Okay.
he ended up paying for it. Yeah.
Oh, that was nice. Then.
Yeah, well, I kind of
So
guilted
we were
him.
100%. Nice.
No, yeah, you were 100%.
Oh,
yeah.
cool.
I kind of guilted him a little bit, but that was different. That was a different thing.
Dude, it's for charity. Come on.
Yeah, I'm like, come on, man. So, but yeah, so like certain stuff like that, like if we found ourselves like people were looking for a certain item, and we the way we create this stuff, I'll say, all right, this artwork we own this artwork, so it's not anywhere else. It's not mass produced.
Right.
It's not made by another company where they're printing 10,000 copies of it. It's getting signed.
Yeah.
We only printed 24 of them.
Right.
Could we print 24 in the future? Sure, but okay, cool. There's 50 now. It's like we do stuff, and it's not out there, so it's harder to really put a price tag on certain stuff.
That's
and
awesome.
and people have their favorites. I'm sure you have your favorite athlete, and when it comes to that, you kind of collect stuff of
Geared
that
towards
athlete.
that.
So if you see something new that you've never seen before, you're like, all right, yeah, that's cool. I've never seen that before. It might be something I want.
So just to clarify that, you'll print an actual picture or whatever. How do you print? What are you printing? Like, is it like
Everything. So we print photos, but the cool thing that we do, I like, is that we have a graphic artist create like a custom canvas or edit. So he'll take multiple images, collage it together, and create this like custom artwork. And now we can print that out whatever we want. We can make an 8x10 photo, a 16x20, a 16x20 canvas. So we can do whatever we want once the artwork's created. Keep going with the trends of, and that's one of the things I've told, like when people, like you brought me into your event because you know me and you trust me.
Yeah.
But when I meet people I don't, and they're like, well, what are you going to do that others aren't? And I go, well, let me get a guess. So what's at your last event? You had a Mariano Rivera signed baseball. You had Jerry Rice signed football. I'm like, it's the same generic stuff over and over again. We go with the trends. So they'll ask me in November, like, hey, what are you bringing to my event in March? I go, I have no idea. When March comes, we'll see, all right,
What's
what
hot?
teams, what's hot? Where are the Rangers at in the playoffs? Where are so-and-so? Like, where are the teams? And who's playing well on teams? Who got traded? You know what I mean? So we keep to the trends so that it's popular at that moment, and that's how I think we generate the most money.
That's awesome. So May 3rd,
May
you're going to
3rd.
be at our next event.
I am in.
Which, Frank, I didn't tell you, May 3rd, we're going to do casino night.
Yeah.
So, very cool.
Casino night. Casinos and cigars.
Casinos, cigars, everything.
Yeah.
Basically like the gala, but more, I guess.
Less formal.
Less formal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
more relaxed, more chill atmosphere. Yeah.
So, and we'll still do the gala in October.
Yeah, yeah.
So because-
No, you had a great event. I mean, for your first one, I told you, unbelievable numbers.
Yeah.
Like,
Now we have to keep with that.
Yeah,
Can't do less now.
Yeah,
So,
that's a challenge,
gonna be a
and that's why
challenge,
a lot of these events like don't last
Right.
over the course of years. But I think that you, like me, you're a very personable guy. People love you,
Yeah.
and they want to support what you're doing. This is a great mission.
Yeah.
I think it's an unbelievable idea. No one's ever really done anything like this, and it's true. Like kids need to realize, like it's not what it used to be, where you have to go to school for everything.
Right,
all the
exactly.
time.
I
You don't
actually
need
met
to.
with Sachem School District. The principal there, I met him last year at Career Day,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't know him before that. And he comes up to me, introduced himself, really personable guy. His name's Andy Larson,
Yep.
Mr. Larson. And I get to talking to him like, Larson. I say, I had a Larson as a homeroom teacher in West Babylon. He goes, and his name was Chip. He's like, that was my father. I was
Oh
like,
wow.
I was like, that's so weird. I said, I used to have these same conversations with your dad
Yep.
about, because I didn't want to go to college. And he would kind of like give me good advice.
Yeah.
And I said, I used to have this conversation with your father 20 plus years ago. And he started tearing up a little bit because his father passed away. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
But I met with him now this past Friday because now we have like a curriculum and all that
Yep.
stuff ready to go, which is now easier when I meet with people. I could show them what the curriculum is.
Yep.
And when that curriculum is basically proposing that we do a better job of weeding out who goes to these programs, these CTE programs, BOCE programs, stuff like that. And they're having a meeting today. So we just met Friday. They're having a meeting today with the assistant superintendent who's in charge of curriculum. And he told me that we're going through with this. So in September, that class will be instituted.
Ah, it's amazing.
So
It's amazing.
it's like amazing.
Yeah, it's important because for so many years, my generation especially was drilled like you have to go to college, you have to get a degree, you're not going to make any money if you don't. And now there's such a lapse in plumbers, electricians, carpenters, all those trade jobs, mechanics. Like there's such a need for them because everyone is pushed to like you have to go to school, you have to do this, and it's not for everybody. It's really not.
Let me actually ask you a question. How is the restaurant business looking as far as help goes? Is that still hurting, or is that?
Yeah, it's definitely still hurting. I mean, it's
So like they could use more high school or high school aged help.
Absolutely,
These restaurants, right?
absolutely.
That's what I've been feeling.
And you have to just be willing to start at the bottom and build your way up. Like one of the most important things my boss at the time when I was at the catering hall told me was I was very eager to like continue to get higher and higher and higher in the brand.
Full of piss and vinegar.
Yeah,
The old time he used to say,
I wanted to be like, all right, if I was a waiter, I want to be a captain. If I was a captain, I want to be a maitre d'. If I was a maitre d', I want to be a general manager, whatever I want to.
Right.
And she told me, you elevate when you could do your job and the other person above you's job.
Yes.
And you could do both of them well.
People don't understand that anymore.
Yeah, so you have to do everything. Like you can't tell a busboy how to clean up if you've never done it yourself. You can't tell a waiter how to wait a table if you've never done it.
Right.
So you have to just
Put your dues in.
put your dues in. Exactly. You can't go in and be the CEO.
We just put a video on Facebook saying that exact same thing.
Can't walk in and be the CEO.
Can't skip steps.
Yep. Can't skip steps.
Otherwise,
That's exactly it.
If your daddy or someone got you a job, you're not going to be respected.
Nope.
You have to be able to relate to people.
Yeah. You also can't because your family has money going. Oh, I'm going to go buy a restaurant. To do what? You don't know. You don't know anything about it. You know nothing about it. You know when shit hits the fan on a Friday night and something breaks in the kitchen, or the cooks get into a fight and one of them leaves. Like, what are you doing?
Which happens.
Yeah, which does happen. Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
We had a situation when we had beer bellies in Bayside where one of the cooks made a derogatory comment on another one, and the guy just left and never came back. So I found myself in the kitchen, and this was like our head guy.
Right.
I found myself in the kitchen for a week until we were able to replace
Cooking?
Yeah, literally. So like you just have to be able to do
Bob and weave.
bob and weave and
Wow.
just do whatever gets thrown at you. You have to just be able to do it. The only thing I couldn't do was security. I wasn't big enough.
I wasn't the biggest guy. A lot of the guys I worked with were real big.
You were the come in and like solve the issue first.
Yes.
Like let me fix it. I'm big. Let me try to like talk it down.
Yes.
And if I can't, I'm going to bring in guys bigger than me.
Yeah. Those guys back there are meaner than me.
Yeah. See the guys behind me? Let's figure this out.
Let's figure this out. Yep. That's exactly how we presented it.
Peacefully. Otherwise I step out and those guys come in.
Exactly. When I used to work at that, it's not there anymore, Venue 56.
Yeah.
It was like this restaurant on 111 in Hop Hog. And they only brought security in on like Saturdays.
Yeah.
But I worked there Thursday and Friday nights by myself. I did the door. So like, you know, they didn't want people who weren't dressed properly, blah, blah. But I had a way of presenting that where people would actually go home and change and come back. And
Yeah.
I made them feel welcome afterwards.
Yeah.
But
Don't wait online. Come
I
see
remember
me.
like when someone came in that was bigger than me, I'd make friends with them real fast. I was like, yo, dude. I was like, you're a big dude.
Yeah.
I'm letting you know now. I really don't want to have any problems because
Yeah.
like I don't really want to fight.
Yeah, I'm not. That's not what I'm here for.
And like they would laugh and I would make friends. And then I would
Yeah.
see that person out at another place and like
Yeah.
it's just how it went. So
Yeah, but that's because you got the personality to do it. You know?